Hey everybody, this is Tony, Taint the Lord 87, and this is 11 random current favorite death metal albums in my collection. Just a random video where I show off just 11 random current favorite death metal albums that I think most people will know. Most of this is just going to be a lot of modern newer releases, and hopefully everyone enjoys this random video and may discover something they haven't seen before by doubt it. But let's begin. The first one I'm going to show off is Unleash as Yggdrasil Trembles, an old school Swedish death metal band that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but this band and this album is really damn good. Just some awesome Swedish death metal that'll remind you of bands like Dismember and Entombed. But yeah, just a solid album from Unleash. Like I said, it's Swedish death metal, so you know what you're going to get. But this is an awesome release, in my opinion. So, yeah, Unleash as the Yggdrasil Trembles. Next up is a band that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but this is a band that I think more people should be talking about and discovering, and that's Dimension Zero. This is Hell. Now, Dimension Zero is not like a straight up death metal band, and this is not like a straight up death metal album. It's more like a melodic death metal album, but it's death metal, so it's kind of related. But yeah, this is just some straight up it's just some straight up no bullshit melodic death metal. The only thing this album lacks is some really amazing over the top guitar solos, but I think the riffs and the amazing leads from the guitar make up for it. So yeah, Dimension Zero's This Is Hell is just a really awesome straight up melodic death metal album. You know what you're going to get, and this album delivers. So yeah, Dimension Zero, This Is Hell. A really good album from this band that needs to be talked about more. Next up is Misery Index, Rituals of Power. Now, this is just a ferocious, intense, in your face, porno punches death metal album that also mixes some grindcore elements. So, this is more like a death grind album, but to me, it definitely falls more into the death metal side. Like I said, this is one ferocious, intense, porno punches death metal, death grind album, whatever you want to call it. This is just some really good stuff. So, yeah, Misery Index, Rituals of Power. A very intense, extreme metal album overall. Next up is Immolation, Atonement. Yeah, just a solid death metal album overall. Just very atmospheric and just heavy and very intense and definitely, you know, packed full of crushing riffs and amazing solos, and definitely has a very old school death metal sound on this album, in my opinion. But yeah, Immolation never disappoints when it comes to delivering some solid death metal, and Atonement is just a solid album overall. Just an amazing death metal album from Immolation. So, yep, that's Atonement by Immolation. Good stuff. Okay, next up is Suffocation of the Dark Light. Yeah, just an amazingly brutal, technical, over top death metal. With some crushing riffs, amazing solos, and I think this is the last album where they have Frank Mullen do vocals before his retirement to spend time with his family. But what a way to go out! Yeah, he sounds like an absolute monster, an absolute beast. Actually, this whole album is an absolute beast, but yeah, just some brutal technical death metal from a long running band that is a master of the craft. So yeah, Suffocations of the Dark Light, just an excellent death metal album overall. Okay, next up is Dying Fetus, Reign Supreme. Just a very fast, heavy, punishing, crushing death metal album that definitely has a bit of grind elements to it, but overall, this is just a solid death metal album from Dying Fetus. Reign Supreme does exactly what the title says. It reigns supreme in delivering some intense, in your face, crushing death metal with some awesome riffs and some deep guttural vocals. But yeah, Dying Fetus, Reign Supreme, definitely one of the best death metal albums to come out in the 2010s. Good stuff. Okay, next up is a classic death metal album that needs no introduction. And that is Obituary's Cause of Death. What needs to be said that hasn't already been said already? This is just a classic 90s death metal album full of grooves, intensity, and brutal crushing riffs. I don't think I need to say any more about this album because this album's been discussed and talked about for a long, long time. So anyone who's a death metal fan should know Obituary's Cause of Death. Just a classic 90s death metal album. And if you don't have it, then I definitely recommend you should. So, yeah, some classic 90s death metal. Obituary's Cause of Death. Okay, next up is another classic, and that's Caucus Symphonies of Sickness. Now, this band definitely doesn't play the same style on each album. Each album is very different, but I think on Symphonies of Sickness, it's just a straight up death metal album with some grindcore elements here and there, and arguably it could be considered a gore grind album, but to me, I say it's mostly straight up death metal. You know, they heavy, very crushing, and just have a very sense of morbidity throughout this album, in my opinion. But yeah, Caucus Symphonies of Sickness is just a classic death metal album overall, and yeah, I don't think there's anything more to say about this album that hasn't already been said already. Just a classic death metal album from this band. So yeah, Caucus Symphonies of Sickness, really good stuff. Okay, next up is another band I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but more people should, and that's Hail of Bullets 3, The Wamel Chronicles. Now, this death metal band is definitely a band that needs to be talked about more. They have that Ancient 2 death metal sound that once you hear it, you can instantly recognize it. It has that buzzsaw guitar. It has that buzzsaw guitar sound that just whips through your ears with its riffs and intensity, and just a solid HM2 death metal album overall. And Hail Bullets is definitely a band that needs to be talked about more. So yeah, 3, The Wamel Chronicles by Hail Bullets. Just an excellent release from this band. Okay, next up is Cattle Decapitation in the album Death Atlas. Just an awesome death metal, grindcore, death grind album throughout this release. If you want some extreme pummeling, crushing music from Cattle Decapitation, you can't go wrong with Death Atlas. Like I said, it's just It's just some straight up brutality, just freaking crushing, brutal, and punishing. And the vocals definitely sound like a gremlin in a mental asylum just going nuts. Just absolute insanity, absolute intensity, and if you're a fan of death metal, death grind, or both, you can't go on with Cattle Decapitation's Death Atlas. Just an amazing, amazing release. And the last album that I'm going to show off in this album, I mean, the last album that I'm going to show off in this video is from a band that not a lot of people like and have mixed feelings towards. There's people that's going to either going to love them or hate them, but to me, I'm I actually enjoy their music, and that's 6 Feet Under's Torment. Yes, yes, I know. 6 Feet Under usually gets, you know, looked down upon, but I actually like 6 Feet Under. I don't like everything they've done, but a few albums from 6 Feet Under I really do enjoy, and I do enjoy Torment for what it is. It's just some simple, simplistic, groovy death metal with some very brutal, gruesome lyrics. Yeah, with 6 Feet Under, you kind of know what to expect. Just some groovy death metal, and riff wise, I think Torment really delivers. I actually really enjoy this one. It's just a fun album overall. Just a fun death metal album. And if I don't think if you take this seriously, you might find something to enjoy with this. But yeah, I like it. So yeah, 6 Feet Under's Torment is just a fun, fun mid-paced death metal album overall. And I think this is definitely one of the better albums from 6 Feet Under. So yeah, Torment by 6 Feet Under. And that's everybody. That's 11 random current favorite death metal albums in my collection. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. Thanks for watching.